We're both from Long Island, and growing up in Long Island, like, hey man, you're a big time Hollywood director now. When did you even think this was going to be your path? Did you know early on as a kid? Did you just love cinema as a kid?
Yeah, so when I was a little, so my parents divorced when I was 5. I mean, we had talked about this. So my dad was a
Yeah.
cop, New York City cop. My mom was a school teacher. It was a horrible marriage, very acrimonious, and they split up. And it was horrible. And my mother was an addict. My dad was an alcoholic. So two things happened for me as a child. My mother, I think, just because I was probably becoming a little rambunctious. I was, like 7 years old. My mother put me in Pop Warner football, and I was actually like really good. I was a really good football. I was always an athletic kid, and I just took to the sport really well. And what happened was my dad always showed up, so unconsciously I kept playing because I knew I'd see my father. Because as even though my dad was an alcoholic, he was more stable than my mom was. I was living with my mom, but it was not hell. It was a pretty toxic environment. But I always felt like I had this. I used to walk around thinking I didn't know what it meant, but I used to feel like my eyes were like a movie projector, and everything was a movie screen. So there was this connection to storytelling and cinema. And I can remember asking when the French Connection came out in 1971. I was like 6. And I asked my dad to take me. And no father should take a 6-year-old to see the French Connection, but he did. And I was just like, I couldn't believe what I was fucking watching up on that screen with Popeye Doyle and Pick Your Nose at Poughkeepsie's and a Santa suit chasing, and then trying to get the frog. I was just obsessed, and that got me. And I just I just loved movies. And the 70s for me is the greatest decade in the history of cinema. So all those 70s movies. So that was happening, but I'm sure for you, I don't know, but like when I started playing, I was playing football through middle school and then in high school, and it became my identity because I was good at something, and there was, when you're from Long Island, like the idea of being in the movie business is like a distant galaxy.
Yeah.
Like this, I didn't, my parents are working class, world that I lived in. Right. So, and then I just kept getting my dad. I kept having my dad in my life because of my football. So then I started getting recruited by colleges, and I got, and I played college football. But even when I played college football, literally my first day at college, when I met with my advisor, he said, "What do you want to do with your life?" I was 18. And I said, "I want to make movies. I want to be a movie maker. I want to tell stories with camera and actors." And he was like, "But we don't have a film school here." And I said, "I know. So I just got to figure out, I got to play football, get a good education." And that's what I did. I didn't join any fraternities. I didn't do that stuff in college. I just kind of went. I was going to art house movie theaters by myself a lot. I used to take the train from Philly. I went to college in Philly. I would take the Amtrak to New York City by myself and go to theater all the time. I was just obsessed with theater and plays. And that's what I did until I got out of college.
And now, so you get out of college, you love this stuff. You're taking the train in to see these movies and the theaters. It's one thing to love it. There's another thing to make it. You didn't get an education for it. Wait, what's the next step?
So I started writing. My doorway in was writing. So I started writing short films. I wrote some like deeply like black, like off Broadway plays in these little black box theaters. I was doing that and just hanging around a lot of artists and actors and painters. And I just kind of immersed myself in that world. And I started making short films. That's how I learned. I started making short films. And then I made my first feature, which I sold pretty much everything I owned. I put the rest on credit cards. And my dad had started a private investigation security company. He had retired from the job, and he became a PI. Then he opened like a security company, like guards. Like,
Yeah.
you go to like Macy's and you saw OCS Security. My dad, O'Connor Security. That was my dad's company.
Oh, wow.
So my dad left me a little piece, a piece of the business was going to be mine when he passed away. And I said to him, can I cash out now? Because I want to make my movie. And, my dad was such a dreamer and was so supportive of whatever I wanted to do. He said, okay. So we got it was my little piece of the business. If he sold it, would have been worth like $180,000.
Yeah.
And he let me get, he got someone and I got the money and I had enough money to shoot my first film.
That's so wild, man. That is so wild. Your father sounds like he was very supportive. He just had a problem with the drinking. Is that what happened?
Yeah, my dad was the best. Drinking, and the amount of half siblings I have running around. Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Oh, that's wild, man. That's wild.